You know, usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of absolute precision.
Right, yeah.
It's like engineering.
Yeah.
You know, you break your arm, you go to the hospital, and the x-ray shows that jagged white line on the black background. The doctor just points a pen at it and says, there it is, there's the problem.
But it's entirely binary. The bone is broken or it is not broken.
Yeah.
It's clean, it's observable, and honestly, it's comforting. As humans, we love things to be visible and easily categorized. We like data that makes intuitive sense.
Right. But then you step out of the sterile clinic and into the world of, like, chaotic, high-stakes human systems, like the absolute pinnacle of global sports.
Oh, absolutely.
And suddenly that x-ray machine is completely busted. We are looking at a diagnostic landscape that isn't just murky, it's practically pitch black.
It is the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters. Because when human psychology, physical exhaustion, and complex tactical systems collide on a global stage, well, the resulting data doesn't always paint a picture that makes logical sense to the naked eye.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Because we're not looking at a medical chart today, we are looking at a statistical output from the 2026 FIFA World Cup final that is so baffling, so utterly contradictory to everything we expect from the beautiful game, that it demands a full-blown forensic autopsy.
It really does.
If you're listening to this right now, you might be wondering how a team built around Lionel Messi, a man who is arguably the greatest player to ever lace up a pair of boots, fails to register a single shot on target in 120 grueling minutes of football.
Yeah.
Not one, zero, in a World Cup final.
It is a statistical anomaly that almost defies belief, let alone any sort of tactical explanation.
Seriously.
We have to set the stage here, I think. We are talking about MetLife Stadium, New York, New Jersey, July 19th, 2026. This was billed by every major network as the ultimate clash of contemporary titans.
It's a dream matchup, right?
Exactly. On one side, you have Spain, the reigning champions of Europe. On the other, Argentina, the defending World Cup champions and the reigning champions of South America. These were the top two teams in the FIFA World Rankings. It was supposed to be an epic, flowing, beautiful battle between two distinct philosophies.
But it wasn't. It really wasn't. Instead, it turned into this incredibly cagey, exhausting war of attrition, like a literal battle of survival that dragged deep into extra time, finally culminating in a 106-minute winner by Spain's Ferran Torres.
That's the reality of it. And to truly understand what happened on that pitch, we can't just look at the 1-0 scoreline in a vacuum. A scoreline is just the final temperature reading. It doesn't tell you how the house actually caught fire.
Which is exactly why we're taking this deep dive today. We aren't just looking at the official match report. We're diving headfirst into the visceral, real-time, emotional roller coaster of the fans.
Right into the chaos.
Yeah, we've pulled a massive stack of real-time comments from the Soccer and Shore World Cup match threads. These forums essentially act as the digital living room for millions of fans across the globe. By tracking their raw, unfiltered reactions, we're going to capture exactly what it felt like to watch this bizarre footballing anomaly unfold, minute by agonizing minute.
And if we're going to chart that emotional roller coaster, looking at the tactical reality on the pitch versus the absolute meltdown happening in those match threads, well, that's exactly where we have to begin.
It's the only place to start.
The raw data paints a picture of absolute suffocating dominance by the Spanish side. They held 65% possession of the ball. They completed 762 accurate passes with an 89% completion rate.
Which is just insane for a final.
Right. They registered 20 total shots, 12 of which were directly on goal, and they created 4 clear big chances.
And then you flip the page and look at Argentina's side of the ledger. 35% possession, only 357 passes completed in 2 hours of play. And that glaring, blinding 0 under shots on target. But here is where I have to push back a little on the sheer value of those stats, or at least ask you to explain the mechanism behind them. Because if you watch enough football, you know that possession can be incredibly deceiving.
Oh, for sure.
Is possession just a boa constrictor slowly squeezing its prey to death? Or is it sometimes just a team playing keep away without any actual attacking purpose? I've seen games where a team holds 70% possession, passes it around their defenders, and does absolutely nothing with it. But out shooting a team 20-2, That tells a completely different story than just keeping the ball. That sounds like active, aggressive domination.
That is a crucial distinction, and you are entirely right to push back on the concept of empty possession. What Spain executed was not passive in the slightest. They utilized a relentless, highly structured counterpress.
Okay, so for anyone listening who might just watch the World Cup every 4 years, break down exactly how a counterpress works in this context. Like, what is the actual geometry of it?
Simply put, traditional defending involves retreating to your own half when you lose the ball. A counterpress dictates that the second you lose the ball, the players closest to the turnover immediately swarm the opponent like a pack of wolves.
Oh, wow.
You don't retreat, you instantly, aggressively attack the ball carrier and cut off all their passing lanes. The geometry is all about creating localized numerical superiority. 3 Spanish players trap 1 Argentinian player before that player even has a chance to lift his head and look for a forward pass to Lionel Messi.
So it's essentially suffocating the attack in the crib.
Precisely. And conversely, Argentina's strategy appeared to be one of pure, desperate survival. They sat in what we call a deep, physical defensive block.
Just parking the bus, basically.
Pretty much. This means they positioned all their players very close to their own penalty area, minimizing the space Spain had to operate. The goal of a low block is to absorb the pressure, essentially saying, we bet you can't thread a pass through 10 defenders. Their hope was to disrupt Spain's rhythm with highly physical, tactical fouls, win the ball back, and pray for a singular, miraculous moment of Messi magic on the counterattack.
But the flaw in that logic is pretty obvious, right? If you never have the ball, you can't create the magic.
Exactly.
And let me tell you, the internet was absolutely losing its collective mind over this stark reality. The disbelief in the match threads was palpable. You've got the user AliGDB commenting, 0 shots on target in 120 mins is objectively hilarious.
I mean, it is.
It really is. When sports data becomes so extreme, it crosses the line from tragic right into comedy.
It creates massive cognitive dissonance for the viewer. Fans simply could not reconcile the swashbuckling, aggressive Argentina they saw win the tournament in 2022 with this team that was effectively parking a double-decker bus in front of their goal in 2026.
Exactly. And when things don't make sense, the conspiracy theories start flying. One Barracuda 7556 wrote, 0 shots on target is what happens when you reach the final through rigging. Which is the ultimate default mechanism for sports fans, isn't it? If a world-class team looks entirely out of their depth, the only logical explanation to a frustrated fan is that the whole tournament must be fixed.
It's a defense mechanism against the reality of tactical obsolescence. But other users were a bit more analytical about the sheer absurdity of it. The user Strange Invader perfectly summed up the tactical approach, writing, Argentina decided not to play at all, a bold strategy.
Which feels like a direct quote from a sports comedy movie. And the sheer confusion just kept radiating through the comments. Long Faithlessness 57 was completely baffled, commenting, 0 shots on target, Mal, how do you pretend to score?
A very fair question.
Right. And what's fascinating is that this same user, Long Faithlessness 57, came back to the thread later to observe the psychological shift in the fan base. They noted how the usually boisterous Argentinian fans suddenly went completely quiet, asking, anyone notice that the cry harder comments disappeared?
It's like the crushing reality of that 0 on the stat sheet effectively silenced the internet trolls.
Yeah, because there is no counter-argument to a 0.
There really isn't. You can debate the quality of chances, you can debate referee decisions, but you cannot debate a 0. Kick 101 synthesized the entire thread's feeling into 5 words, just saying 0 shots on target is crazy.
Short and sweet. But I think Borshikov provided the most brutally accurate and frankly poetic summary of the match. They wrote, shots attempted, 0. Shots on target, 0. Shots of kicking players, 50.
That is just so telling, which highlights the physical reality of playing without the ball for that long. It is physically and emotionally draining.
Definitely.
When you don't have possession, you are constantly reacting. You are chasing shadows. And when athletes get tired and frustrated, they substitute technique with pure physicality. The user Mathematicos Jara asked, Argentina might have pulled the worst performance of a team in a WC final. What TF was that? 0 shoots on goal, really.
And some users were trying to break down the mechanics of why it was happening in real time. The user optimization role provided a surprisingly great analytical breakdown right there in the chaotic thread. Yeah, they pointed out that Spain was generating so many chances, but struggling with the final finishing touch, while Argentina was literally just hanging by a thread the entire game. They flat out called it a pathetic show in a World Cup.
If you put yourself in the shoes of a neutral fan watching this at home, it creates a very unique, almost claustrophobic kind of viewing anxiety. When one team is pressing that relentlessly and the other team can't escape their own penalty box, the viewer feels suffocated too. You are just waiting for the dam to break.
You can absolutely feel that suffocating tension bleeding into the comments as the game dragged on and on. Crandor1 asked, almost sarcastically, are we getting to the part of the game where Argentina tries to score?
That speaks to the anticipation of the counterattack that never materialized. People kept expecting the 2022 version of Argentina to suddenly wake up.
Right. But Spain just wouldn't let them. Farlight3616 was busy analyzing Spain's side of the equation, trying to figure out why the game was still scoreless. He said, I don't see how Spain is missing those shots. I get that getting shots in during high-intensity games is very difficult, but the Argentine team is leaving a lot of open space.
That observation about open space is fascinating, actually, because against a low block, the space doesn't exist in the middle. The space exists on the wings.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Spain was moving the ball rapidly from side to side, forcing the Argentine defense to continuously shuttle horizontally. Over 120 minutes, that horizontal running wears down the leg muscles, causing microscopic delays in defensive rotations, which eventually creates those fleeting pockets of open space.
But even with that space, the pressure on the man with the ball was immense. Business South 2714 hit the nail on the head tactically, writing, Argentina can't even breathe with this press. Spain have been relentless.
Relentless is the perfect adjective. Spain's physical conditioning to maintain that high-intensity press deep into extra time is a marvel of modern sports science.
For sure.
Meanwhile, the patience of the viewers was wearing incredibly thin. Marshall Teach D kept their analysis incredibly blunt, just saying, Argentina playing terribly.
And as the clock ticked past 90 minutes and into extra time, you could see the desperation setting in. JP1124 was just throwing out score predictions into the void out of sheer desperation, typing 2-0, as if trying to manifest a goal into existence.
Just willing it to happen.
And Firefox72 noted the absolute lack of ambition from the South American side, writing, maybe if Argentina tried to play football before the 120th minute, they might have achieved something. Disgraceful performance.
Which brings up a really important philosophical question about the sport itself. What is the obligation of a team in a final?
That's a great point.
Is it simply to win by any means necessary, even if that means destroying the flow of the game? Or is there an obligation to entertain?
Well, if you ask the match threads, the lack of entertainment was the cardinal sin. Because for all of Spain's absolute dominance of the ball, the actual aesthetic of the match was a grinding, punishing slog.
It is tough to watch.
It wasn't a free-flowing, joyous samba at all. The user Kukimungi just typed the word boring in all caps, accompanied by 3 sleeping emojis.
It's the paradox of total dominance. When one team completely neutralizes the other, it removes the dramatic tension of a back-and-forth contest.
Exactly. Silly Cheeseburger was literally begging the television, writing, Spain Ong, put us out of this misery and score 1. Rocky Crimper complained from a stylistic standpoint, stating, Argentina plays such ugly football.
Yeah, the aesthetics were definitely lacking.
But I genuinely think the user, Stonewalled89, captured the consensus of the average neutral fan perfectly. They wrote, that was a truly awful game of football, but I'm glad the team who actually tried to play football won it. Congratulations, Spain.
That right there is the crux of global footballing philosophy. Football purists will almost universally side with the team attempting to create rather than the team attempting to destroy.
Right.
There is a deep-seated romance in the idea of the beautiful game, and Spain, for all their struggles in front of goal that day, were the only team attempting to paint a picture.
And that leads us logically into the moment the dam finally broke. Because breaking down a team that has 11 men behind the ball requires absolute monastic patience.
It really does.
And often, it requires some unsung heroes stepping out of the shadows and into the spotlight.
It's rarely the superstar who breaks a low block. It's usually a momentary lapse in concentration capitalized on by a substitute who brings fresh legs and a different dynamic.
And here's where the narrative of this match gets really interesting. You have Ferran Torres. Now, for the casual fan, Torres is a player who had received a mountain of heavy criticism all season long at the club level.
Oh, tons of it.
Pundits questioned his finishing, fans questioned his price tag. He steps onto the pitch as a 62nd minute substitute. Fast forward to the 106th minute of a deadlocked World Cup final, and he is the one volleying the ball into the roof of the net to win the ultimate prize. Talk about an absolutely cinematic redemption arc.
It truly is, and from a tactical perspective, it was a brilliantly constructed goal that exploited exactly what we were talking about earlier, the fatigue of the horizontal shuttle. Nico Williams, another substitute who was brought on in the 75th minute specifically for his pace and directness, provided a magical headed assist from a cross delivered by Pedro Porro. It is a massive testament to Spain's depth, and specifically to manager Luis de la Fuente's tactical adjustments.
It was a masterclass.
He realized the starters had worn down the Argentine block, and he injected the precise profile of players needed to exploit the resulting heavy legs.
But I want to pause on the offense for a second, because I feel like we are burying the lead here. While Torres got the glory, what is truly fascinating is the defensive foundation that even allowed Torres to be in a position to be the hero in the 106th minute. Spain only conceded a single goal throughout the entire month-long tournament.
It's wild.
1 goal in 7 matches.
It is an almost incomprehensible level of defensive solidity. In modern international football, where the attacking talent is so immense and the rules often favor the offense, conceding 1 goal in 7 games is a historic anomaly.
That is genuinely absurd consistency. And the internet absolutely recognized the magnitude of it. But first, they had to give Torres his flowers. Accurate Group 5390 said, "Keep seeing Ferran's finish. What a hero. Williams made such a great impact."
And rightfully so.
Aggressive Region 1502 was even more emphatic about the redemption narrative, writing, "Ferran Torres, for all the shit he received this season, is a fucking national hero, Warren."
And that headed assist from Nico Williams deserves its own breakdown, too. Heading a crossed ball accurately requires immense neck strength and spatial awareness. The user, Nunos100, broke down the mechanics of the assist beautifully, pointing out that Williams' assist was magic. 910 ppl, 100% head that at the post or in dick hands.
It takes so much control to cushion a header rather than just blast it. And some fans were just overwhelmed by the emotion of the moment. I love a random guy just expressed pure, unadulterated gratitude, commenting, "Thanks to Torres again for this gift to the world."
But as you mentioned, the praise for the defense in these threads was equally loud, and rightfully so. When we look at the Spanish backline, we are looking at a generational shift.
Totally. They featured Pau Cubarsí, a 19-year-old phenom playing center back, arguably the position that requires the most experience and maturity on the pitch.
19 years old. I was still trying to figure out how to do my own laundry at 19, and this kid is marshaling a defense in a World Cup final.
Exactly. He and Lamine Yamal, who is also incredibly young, have now joined the elite historic ranks of players like Pelé and Kylian Mbappé as teenagers who have played in and won a World Cup final.
That's just crazy to think about.
But that speaks to a staggering level of youth development within the Spanish footballing infrastructure.
The fans were just mind-blown by the defensive stats. Soleil06 wrote, "Spain only conceding a single goal all tournament is honestly absolutely crazy. I do not think we have ever seen such a dominant defensive performance at a World Cup."
They're not wrong.
And then we have Telepec25, who highlighted a player that I feel always flies under the radar. They wrote, "An unsung hero of Spain's domination with the ball has been Unai Simon. Without a GK so good at anticipating runs in behind his defense, it wouldn't be possible." This is a phenomenal tactical point from that user. When Spain plays a high counterpress, their defensive line pushes very far up the pitch, leaving a massive expanse of green grass between the defenders and their own goal.
Right.
Unai Simon plays what we call a sweeper-keeper role. He isn't just standing on his goal line, he is constantly reading the game, anticipating long passes over the top, and rushing out of his penalty box to intercept the ball. If he misjudges his timing by a fraction of a second, it's a guaranteed red card or a goal.
No pressure, right.
His mental focus has to be absolute, even when Spain has the ball 65% of the time.
Which makes his job sound utterly terrifying. Though the user Feb914 looked at it from a much more humorous angle, joking, "Unai Simon will really get Golden Glove while barely doing anything."
That's pretty funny.
Which, honestly, getting the award for the tournament's best goalkeeper while mostly just watching your teammates pass the ball around sounds like the absolute dream job.
It really is the ultimate paradox of the position. A quiet goalkeeper means the system in front of him is flawless. The user MLSBDX declared, "Player of the tournament to Spain's defense because Jesus Christ. 1 goal allowed all tournament is absolutely disgusting."
But then Final Profession 962 countered that claim with a really insightful tactical point, replying, "You mean to their midfielders? Because they're the ones that kept possession most of the games."
And that user has hit upon the absolute core philosophy of Spanish football. In their system, possession is the ultimate defense.
Oh, that makes sense.
The opposing team cannot score if they do not have the ball. The midfield's ability to retain the ball under intense pressure isn't just about creating chances, it's about starving the opponent of any opportunity to attack.
And the fans were calling out the specific architects of that possession-based suffocation. Impossible Guardian was frustrated with the television pundits, wondering, how are the BBC not mentioning Porro once in their analysis load?
It's a valid critique.
You've been jammed, kept their review succinct, saying, shite game from Argentina. Good game, Kubarji.
The individual performances in that Spanish setup were immense.
Oh, absolutely. The user Illusion 210 was adamant about who deserved the individual honors, stating, Cucurella is MOTM for me, generational performance. And Rob 101 summed up the entire match dynamically using just the raw numbers. 2012 for Spain, best player for Argentina was the goalie.
Because the midfield truly was the engine room that made the whole machine function, the user's seventh dilemma looked to the future, noting, Yamal has the stuff, but he has a longer journey before he joins the legends. He'll be there before long.
He's got time for sure.
But V4 Company made the ultimate claim for the veteran anchor of that midfield, simply stating, Rodri for Ballon d'Or.
Just to clarify for anyone who might not know, the Ballon d'Or is the award given to the best football player in the entire world for that specific year. And arguing that a defensive midfielder like Rodri should win it over a flashy goal scorer shows just how highly the fans rated his ability to control the tempo of the game.
He is the metronome. He sets the pace of the game, deciding when to play fast and when to slow it down to frustrate the opposition.
And the pure joy radiating from the Spanish fans in these threads was highly infectious. Chetnos yelled into the digital void, let's fucking go! Spain my goats! Kawi28 stated simply, Spain dominated the whole tournament.
So it was undeniable.
Arangus Lolis echoed that sentiment, writing, absolute domination by Spain. Argentina were completely outclassed. The stats showing their chances being 0 compared to 20+ by Spain was hilarious.
The sheer relief of vindication.
Definitely. The user Cumblast typed out, enjoy as all caps, somos campeones de Europa y somos campeones del mundo, and Pedro Porro 11 just closed the thought with, deserved as fuck.
But while Spain's heroes were rightfully being celebrated in one half of the thread, we have to address the massive, angry elephant in the room.
Oh boy, here we go.
The match threads were simultaneously boiling over with absolute rage at Argentina's approach to the game. When you step back and look at the disciplinary stats from this match, 25 fouls committed by Argentina, 3 yellow cards, and 1 red card, it tells a very dark story of a team that had completely lost its tactical shape and resorted to what football fans call the dark arts.
The dark arts. It is the perfect theatrical term for it. Honestly, watching Argentina play out of possession felt less like watching a world-class football match and more like watching a chaotic wrestling rumble at times, didn't it?
It really did.
If I could use a gaming analogy, it felt exactly like watching a frustrated player who is losing a game of FIFA. And because they can't figure out how to get the ball back, they just start angrily mashing the slide tackle button to take out the opponent's legs.
That is a highly accurate analogy. If we delve into the biomechanics and psychology of what is actually happening on the pitch, it's a profound display of the toll that a lack of possession takes on the human body and mind. We mentioned earlier that Spain's possession is weaponized.
Right.
It is designed to drain the opponent's physical and mental stamina. When you are constantly sprinting to close down passing angles, your muscles flood with lactic acid. Your brain becomes fatigued from constantly having to process defensive rotations.
So the frustration isn't just emotional, it's deeply physiological.
Exactly. When you are constantly chasing shadows, an overwhelming sense of helplessness builds up. And for the Argentinian players, that helplessness manifested in heavy, cynical fouling.
Yeah.
It's akin to a boxer who is getting completely outclassed by a faster opponent, so they just resort to continuously grabbing and clinching to stop the flurry of punches. It ruins the spectacle, but it's a desperate survival tactic. And this frustration eventually reached its inevitable boiling point when Enzo Fernandez received a second yellow card and was sent off in the 93rd minute.
And long before that red card was finally shown, the fans were practically screaming at their screens about the officiating. The perception was that the referee was letting Argentina turn the game into a blood sport. The user Guccioli noted, Redditors defending that call when every announcer and neutral commentator is calling bullshit lol. Stravies was absolutely furious about a specific incident, asking, how did that Argentina player not get a yellow card? He was literally trying to climb Yamal.
Climbing a player is a classic dark art. You jump into their back under the guise of challenging for a header, but your real goal is just to drive your knee into their spine and let them know you are there. It's pure intimidation.
And the fans were tired of it. Dexterous 3R demanded action, saying, "Bruh, how are these not fouls? Give home his yellow and boot him." Paxflash pointed out the statistical absurdity of the refereeing early on, asking, "At least 3 blatant fouls by Argentina and not a single card yet."
The perception that Argentina was somehow being protected or getting away with murder was widespread across the platform.
Flip82 cynically observed the classic time-wasting and injury feigning that often accompanies this style of play, writing, "Soon as he gets yellow, he's saying, 'I'm injured, need to come off.'"
Typical tactics.
The drunk hooker beast chimed in with the rigging theories again. "Yo, after that grab and no card, y'all might be right. This might be rigged foul." Maraven22 complained about the disparity in calls, saying, "He barely fucking touched Messi. They're giving away free kicks to Argentina."
Refereeing a match of this magnitude with these specific tactical dynamics is arguably one of the most difficult jobs in sports. The referee, Slavko Vincic, was walking a massive tightrope. If he gives a yellow card for every single cynical foul early on, he risks having to send off 3 players by halftime, which ruins the spectacle of the final.
Right.
But if he is too lenient, he loses control of the game's safety.
And interestingly, D-Max Licious actually offered a really nuanced, empathetic defense of the referee in the thread. They wrote, "Referee had a really admirable performance. He tried to let Argentina play their brand of football in the first half, but he stopped falling for their bullshit. He wasn't giving them the big dive calls."
That is a very astute observation. A good referee understands the difference between a physical, hard-fought challenge and a theatrical dive designed to manipulate a decision.
But eventually, a referee's patience has to run out. The cards have to come out of the pocket. And when Enzo Fernandez finally got sent off in extra time, the schadenfreude, that deep satisfaction at someone else's misfortune, was completely off the charts in the thread.
Oh, I bet.
Special Influence 43 gleefully listed out their checklist for the perfect evening. Enzo sent off, Spain win, 0 shots on target, total head loss after the match. A very successful hate watch.
We will definitely dig into the psychology of the hate watch later, but it underscores how polarized the audience had become.
Nearby 106 was genuinely perplexed by the tactical collapse, asking, what was even Argentina's strategy? To which the user Malku replied with a devastating critique. Same as it always is, play dirty, flop in the box, Messi for the goal. They just never got to the second stage of their plan.
The vitriol toward Argentina's style of play was incredibly intense, and it speaks to a broader fatigue with this specific brand of cynical football. The user LightsOut0000 did not hold back for a single second, stating, "Argentina lost in every single way. On the pitch, they were pathetic, and off the pitch, the whole world saw how nasty they are. Deserved to lose, outfought, outthought, and outclassed."
And people felt this was a recurring theme. Their Lopum agreed with the sentiment, writing, "They've always been classless Lumfau. People must not have been paying attention if this is shocking." To which classy, horny throwaway enthusiastically just added, "Abso-fucking-lutely."
It's fascinating how a single match can act as a lightning rod for years of pent-up grievances from rival fan bases.
Completely. The user Rise of the Phoenix actually brought up a context from a previous match to justify their anger, saying people actually got on Bellingham for what he did against Argentina at full time, but it was justified given how shitty they get. Hideous Boy immediately agreed with that historical context, replying, "Yeah, I don't know why people were acting like he wasn't clearly provoked into something."
When a team establishes a reputation for utilizing the dark arts, the court of public opinion will almost always side with the player who eventually snaps and retaliates against them.
Which explains why the red card was so celebrated. Always Ready Go summed up the prevailing mood perfectly. Seeing Enzo get sent off was rather satisfying, not gonna lie. Shame their number 5 wasn't sent off as well.
Very satisfying for the neutrals.
Powerful Employer 20 was much blunter in their assessment. "Fuck you, Argentina, dirty bitches." Except Messi, love Messi. Easy Scale noted, Enzo Fernandez's red card extremely deserved. And Reddit Lindstrom breathed a massive sigh of relief for the sport itself, writing, "Thank God the team playing football won and not the wrestlers."
However, I think it is vitally important to note that amidst all this blistering criticism of Argentina's outfield players, there was a universal, almost grudging respect in the threads for one singular man, Emiliano Martinez.
Oh, absolutely.
The Aston Villa goalkeeper made 11 saves in this match. Let me repeat that for context. 11 saves in a World Cup final. If Emiliano Martinez is not standing between those posts, this game is an embarrassing blowout by the time the halftime whistle blows.
And the sheer volume of saves, Requires incredible mental resilience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We talked about Unai Simon having to stay alert while doing nothing. Martinez had the exact opposite problem. He was under a relentless 120-minute siege.
The psychological stamina required to face 20 shots, to constantly organize a chaotic, scrambling defense in front of you, and to physically throw your body around for 2 straight hours without a mental lapse, it is a superhuman feat of concentration.
And the fans recognized it. Even the fans who notoriously hate his usual time-wasting antics had to bow down to his performance. The user 5555 said, "I will say Martinez is the MVP, as that could have easily been 4-0. Grand Arachnid 1008 just wrote, Emmy continues to surprise them."
He was the solitary pillar, holding up a collapsing structure.
Torchman16 was actually quite sympathetic to him, writing, "Spain earned this win every minute. Sad end for Messi, but his teammates other than Emmy Martinez sucked today." But I think Alternative Wolf 407 had the absolute quote of the day regarding the Argentine keeper. They wrote, "Emiliano Martinez was a notorious exception. I don't know what that guy eats before WC finals, but he's a Panther. Big kudos for his work."
A panther's the perfect visual analogy. His reflexes on the goal line were purely instinctual.
Even the haters had to concede. Mix78 grumbled, "I hate Martinez, but it seemed he will win again the Golden Gloves." And Fresh Prince Avi agreed wholeheartedly. Obviously not realistic, but Emiliano Martinez was the man of the match for me. Mill blocked so many tough attempts on goal.
Martinez was undeniably a giant on that pitch. But unfortunately, even his individual heroics could not prevent the total breakdown in team discipline that occurred immediately after the final whistle blew.
Oh man, the brawl.
Yeah, the post-match brawl, heavily involving the Argentine midfielder Leandro Paredes, was the incredibly ugly coda to an already ugly performance.
It was absolute chaos. The television cameras were cutting wildly, and the match threads were scrambling, trying to crowdsource exactly what was happening in real time. Our Weather Yet No asked frantically,
"I missed what Paredes did after the match. What happened?"
Everyone was confused.
Distinct Shoulder 3148 replied with a play-by-play of the madness, saying, "Dude deadass went nuts. He needs help. Started flinging the Spanish players around and choked one."
When adrenaline, profound exhaustion, and the bitter sting of losing a World Cup final all mixed together, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logical decision-making and impulse control, essentially shuts down.
It certainly seemed like it. Judo was also lost in the broadcast chaos, asking, "Same, what happened?" Near 32123 confirmed the violence, writing, "Scrapped a load of Spaniards."
Pool 3 Party actually found the footage and linked to the video in a Brazilian subreddit, simply captioning it "Parades." But Captain Iceplug made a brilliant satirical comparison to the Jude Bellingham incident we discussed earlier, writing, "Pearl clutchers. My God, can't believe Jude slapped him after the game. Parades. Hold my kilms."
That complete lack of emotional control at the end of the match was striking, and it leaves a permanent stain on the team's legacy. But amidst all the brawling and the tactical fouls, perhaps the most poignant, most jarring image of the entire final was the figure who usually controls everything on a football pitch, Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
Because this game undeniably marked the end of an era.
Let's talk about that, because the statistics around Messi in this game are heavy. At 39 years and 25 days old, Messi became the oldest outfield player to ever appear in a World Cup final.
It's incredible longevity.
It was his third final appearance, which is a monumental achievement in itself.
Yeah.
But his actual impact on the pitch during those 120 minutes, he was effectively a ghost.
The physical realities of aging simply cannot be outrun, even by a genius. As a player approaches 40, they lose that explosive first step. To compensate, a veteran superstar requires a highly mobile, dynamic team built entirely around them to do the running they can no longer do.
Right, he needs that support system.
But in a tactical setup where his team possessed the ball for only 35% of the game, Messi was entirely starved of the oxygen he needs to operate.
It was incredibly surreal to watch. The broadcast kept showing this lingering image of him just sitting on the ground after the match, staring into the middle distance. And the internet reacted with this incredibly potent, conflicting mix of deep pity for his fading legacy, intertwined with some really harsh criticism for his behavior during the game itself.
Yes.
Because he wasn't just quietly ineffective, he was visibly, actively frustrated and spent a lot of energy trying to work the referee. Mud James pointed this out, saying one highlight was Messi trying to get Cucurella sent off for touching his mouth while speaking.
Which highlights a fascinating narrative shift. We are witnessing the twilight of a sporting god. Messi's complete inability to carry a team that refused to play progressive football highlights the ultimate limitation of individual brilliance when faced with a supreme modern tactical system.
Exactly.
The stark, undeniable contrast between his triumphant, godlike carry job in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar and this quiet, frustrating whimper in 2026 is a massive shift in how the history books will view this late stage of his career.
And the fans were ready to write that obituary. Juan Barracuda 7556 said harshly, "This is what Messi's going to be remembered for Lomao so long."
Ghost 7807 noted the cynical tactics, writing, "Messi was being petty by trying to get our beautiful Cucurella off for some comments."
And this extends to his relationship with the officials. When a player reaches that level of global superstardom, there's an unspoken pressure on referees to protect them. Oh, the thread definitely noticed that dynamic.
Yeah.
LeapQS observed it in real time. Messi looks at the referee and he gets the foul automatically, Lomao. Mike Catsel's blow agreed, observing, Messi just has to give the ref a quick stare to get a whistle.
Classic.
Redundant things painted a vivid, almost theatrical picture of this sequence. Spain player successfully takes ball from Messi. Messi looks back at ref in defeat. Ref blows whistle.
It creates a sense of profound unfairness among opposing fans, which only fuels the backlash when that superstar eventually fails.
TreeFingerX found the parallel failures of different generations amusing, saying Messi and Yamal both disappointed, which is funny. But Justified has simply stated the cold, hard, tactical reality of the match, just saying Messi was nowhere to be found today.
But what is really intriguing is how quickly the criticism in these threads extended from Messi's individual performance on the night to the impending inevitable doom of the Argentinian national team without him.
That was a huge theme.
The fans clearly recognized that this heavy reliance on a singular, aging superstar was acting as a bandage, masking deep systemic issues and a lack of creative identity within the broader squad.
They saw the writing on the wall. OK Gain, a Love 151, laid out the bleak future. I love Messi, but once he retires, Argentina national team is going to go through a dark period. And then showing their true colors, they later came back to the thread just to comment, Viva España.
The concept of a dark period is very real in international football. When a nation builds its entire infrastructure around a generational talent for 15 years, the power vacuum left by their retirement can take a decade to fix. You have to essentially invent a new national footballing identity from scratch.
And some fans were thrilled about that prospect. A foreign list was absolutely brutal, writing, Messi retires and Argentina will fade into obscurity for a good while. I'm free, no more supporting Argentina.
Wow, harsh.
Though if you comb through their comment history, they also threw in a Messi took you lads apart lol earlier in the match. So they were clearly rapidly cycling through the 5 stages of grief in real time.
It's the classic psychological defense mechanism of discarding the thing you love before it can hurt you anymore. You also see a lot of fans attempting to preserve Messi's legacy by offloading all the blame onto his supporting cast.
Right, the he can't win with these cats defense. Dry Molasses 5468 wrote, hate to see Messi down, but that team of his will be his downfall every time. That Paredes and Enzo Fernandez are such nasty people they lost him the match.
Which is a valid critique of the team's disciplinary failure, but it ignores the tactical reality that Messi's inability to press dynamically contributed heavily to the team's overall defensive posture.
Of course, because we're on the internet, the eternal GOAT debate, greatest of all time, reared its head, as it inevitably always does.
Naturally.
Frade boldly proclaimed, Ronaldo is the undisputed GOAT. There is no debate. I've never seen anyone shit the bed like Messi, and the whole world witnessed it. Don't ever bring Messi up again.
It is fascinating how a single bad match at age 39 is used by rival factions to attempt to invalidate a 20-year career of unprecedented dominance.
Sports fandom is nothing if not reactionary. No Grep 388 was furiously disappointed, aiming their anger directly at the captain, saying, Messi just about done enough to ruin his legacy being the captain of this degenerate team. Fuck off and retire now. Don't want to see you again.
That level of venom is startling, but it contrasts sharply with the fans who recognize the genuine historical weight of the moment.
Exactly. Champagne Abuelo felt the gravity of it, saying, seeing Messi sitting on the ground after was sad Eichel. The last time seeing a Fenway from the era we grew up watching on the biggest stage.
That is sad.
Just a Reddit account was just completely exhausted by the spectacle, writing, that was genuinely the most frustrating game I've watched all tournament. I feel bad for Messi. His team bungled the opportunities he gave them.
And then, amidst all the genuine emotion and tactical debate, you have the beautiful absurdity of internet meme culture injecting itself into the narrative.
Oh, this was my favorite part. George Simpson 45 joked about the contrast between the aging legend and the rising star, Lamine Yamal, saying, Messi loses another World Cup final, Lamine wins his first.
Right, the photo.
Yes. This is, of course, referring to that incredibly viral, surreal photo from 2007 that resurfaced during the tournament, showing a 20-year-old Lionel Messi literally bathing a 6-month-old baby Lamine Yamal for a charity calendar photo shoot.
It is a statistical improbability that borders on science fiction. The infant he bathed almost 2 decades ago grows up to play a crucial role in defeating him in his final World Cup.
Ronaldo 99 captured the humor of that cosmic irony perfectly, imagining Messi's regretful inner monologue as he sat on the pitch just writing, I shouldn't have bathed that kid, man.
That exchange is the perfect encapsulation of sports internet culture. It swings wildly from deep, angry, tactical analysis to profound melancholy, right into referencing a photo of a player bathing a baby 2 decades ago.
Which acts as the perfect bridge to discuss the meta-commentary surrounding the match itself, because a World Cup final isn't just a sporting event, it is a massive global cultural touchstone.
It really is.
And when you look at these Reddit threads, they cease to be just about football. They become a microcosm of global geopolitics, broadcasting quirks, and incredibly intense regional rivalries.
What's wild about a World Cup final is how quickly a 0-0 game turns into a geopolitical battleground in the comments. We saw fans projecting their own national rivalries, their historical grievances, and their political frustrations directly onto the 22 men running around on the pitch.
It is fascinating. You see fans treating the comment section like a literal digital war room. The concept of the hate watch, tuning in specifically to root for a team's downfall rather than another team's success, was out in full force.
Oh, definitely.
Dionysus Reborn, who was clearly an Argentina fan firing back at the haters, wrote, to anyone who hate-watched Argentina today, la siguen teniendo bien adentro from watching one of the most successful cycles in football's history. Hope we made you very unhappy.
It's an incredibly tribal mentality. The success of the rival is felt as a personal attack, and defending your team becomes a matter of national pride.
And the responses were just as visceral. And Gigina just screamed pure emotion into the void, saying, fuck you, loser.
Very articulate.
R3CO1L fired back at the Argentine dynasty specifically.
Yeah.
Seethe. Your team will be ass for the next couple of decades.
The stark stylistic clash between Spain's tiki-taka passing and Argentina's physical aggression also brought out a lot of regional snobbery regarding how the game should be played.
Wiggarlic 5711 suggested Argentina should play rugby instead of football, to which Rugbyman 1983 brilliantly replied, highlighting Argentina's recent struggles in other sports, saying they lost at that too.
It's the perfect comedic deflection, but the underlying resentment toward the dark arts continued to dominate the discourse.
Admirable Goose 317 celebrated the result as a moral victory, writing, and Yuppie, the worst team in the World Cup. Argentina lost. Finally, the dirtiest football ever, Argentina. Moxie Verners called Argentina the original zombies that just wouldn't die, referring to their ability to survive the Spanish onslaught for so long.
That's a good comparison.
Muesli 1409 laughed that Paraguay feels personally insulted by the level of football, and then just flooded the thread with laughing emojis later.
You can see fans from all over the world coming together in a shared sense of schadenfreude.
Communicationless 934 dropped the analytical hammer. Argentina found out what happens when you go against a team that's too strong after getting a free ride to the final. Optimistic Mufun questioned reality itself, writing, Argentina doing voodoo magic shouldn't be in the final the way they played TBH. Mysterious Liquor 2002 joked about the FIFA president's alleged bias, saying, Infantino will cry himself to sleep tonight.
And you have these highly specific localized arguments breaking out in different languages amid the chaos.
Yes. Secret New Beginning got into a very specific argument in Spanish, saying, Los españoles te odian por mexicana. Careta un poco. Schutzpunch Samurai acted as a scout, reporting on the fallout in other subreddits, saying, the Republica Argentina subreddit is mass banning everyone, lol.
Classic internet drama.
Whoindex observed the lack of grace in defeat. Good job, Spain. Argentina team did not take the loss well enough. Displeased Canadian lived down to the stereotype of polite Canadians by bluntly saying, haha, fuck off, Argentina. I am Brazilian MA lived up to their national rivalry, shouting, "Thank you, Spain, for saving football."
The all caps really sell it.
And is correct. Had a hilarious, niche tactical take, writing, "Convinced Argentina is a social experiment to see what would happen if Atletico Madrid had Lionel Messi."
For context for our listeners, Atletico Madrid is famously known for playing an incredibly defensive, gritty, punishing style of football under Diego Simeone. It's a very apt comparison.
Makes total sense.
But the tribalism wasn't just limited to footballing rivalries. We saw a massive influx of geopolitical commentary where fans explicitly tied the result of this match to real-world international conflicts and figures. Now, I want to be very clear to our listeners, we aren't taking a side here on these issues, but to understand this deep dive, you have to look at how international football serves as a proxy for global politics on these forums.
Right, reading through these, you see how the stadium becomes a proxy for the world stage.
Yeah.
Lightly posted. This is for Palestine, this is for Egypt, this is for Swiss.
Just pulling in everything.
Unique and Reddit replied to the sheer volume of political noise with a laugh, saying, "Honestly, all these three sucked, though, lol. But Spain well-deserved."
Light Kojak, who identified as an American, requested the international crowd's help regarding the pre-match ceremonies, writing, "All I ask from Argentina and Spanish fans is that when Trump appears, boo and jeer him like you've never done to anyone else before."
The presence of controversial political figures at these global events always acts as an accelerant for thread chaos.
Replicone cynically added to that sentiment, "Anything Trump touches dies." Star Fury chimed in with similar energy. "Orange cunt gonna give the trophy to S County. He hates lol lol. Love it." Rose Shimmer kept their geopolitical grievance brief, but pointed, "Yay, Spain. Screw you, Argentina, for being racist."
And Kupuk brought up a deeply historical, very real geopolitical conflict between Argentina and the UK, saying, "No World Cup and no Falklands. Kudos to Spain."
It demonstrates in real time how the World Cup is perhaps the only remaining truly monocultural event on the planet. It is the one time a month where almost everyone on Earth is watching the exact same television feed, and everyone brings their own unique historical and political baggage to the digital living room.
But beyond the heavy, intense politics and the historical grievances, there were also these incredibly lighthearted, shared experiences of just dealing with the quirks of the television broadcast itself.
Oh yeah, the broadcasts.
Because when the game is a 0-0 slog, the viewers start noticing everything else around it.
The unifying power of a strange broadcast cannot be underestimated. It gives opposing fans something benign to collectively laugh at.
Exactly. Centerweight noticed the audio mixing issues, pointing out it was real windy in the BBC booth. Jackna8820 declared their preference for fictional sports managers over real politicians, saying, "Ted Lasso should Defoe be presenting the trophy over Trump." AK56 pointed out a bizarre celebrity correlation. I guess Shakira is good luck for Spain in both 2010 and today.
The pre-match pageantry is always a target for fan confusion, especially when luxury brands get involved.
Packov Nunn was completely flabbergasted by the corporate tie-in for the trophy presentation, writing, "The Louis Vuitton trophy trunk? Are you fucking kidding me, Olmao?" My first time seeing it. Spigzizzle felt the pre-game entertainment show was severely lacking energy, just saying, "Damn, Bieber really killed the vibe on this game."
Tough crowd.
Barf was highly critical of the musical performance's authenticity, noting, "Holy fuck, the lip-syncing is extreme."
And quite often the commentators themselves become the main characters of the story, especially when their bias or frustration starts leaking through the microphone.
Snapsmack was incredibly relieved when the broadcast ended, writing, "Finally, Andres Cantor can shut up. Man was on his knees the whole time."
That's hilarious.
And then there was the ongoing saga of Wayne Rooney's commentary for the UK feed regarding the video assistant referee, or VAR.
VAR has been a point of massive contention in modern football, as it often disrupts the flow of the game for microscopic rule infractions. Wayne Rooney, being a player from a slightly older, more physical generation, clearly had no patience for it.
Oh man, Rooney was basically having a live meltdown on air. Rickos06 quoted him directly, saying, "Rooney, furious at the refereeing and how VAR is used. Get rid of the bad decisions about the disallowed goal and get rid of VAR."
He was not happy.
Farsock7614 resonated deeply with the former striker's anger, saying, "Rooney is all of us today." And Pure Bluebird 2054 tied the commentator's frustration back to the on-pitch violence we discussed earlier, joking, "Wayne Rooney outswinging almost as much as Paredes."
It is brilliant. But amidst all the arguing, the tactical breakdowns, the political sniping, and the complaining about the commentators, there's also this incredibly genuine sense of community in these threads that suddenly emerges right as the final whistle blows and the reality of the tournament ending sets in.
It's kind of sweet.
For a full month, these random usernames from across the globe have been spending hours a day together in this shared digital space.
It's like the last day of summer camp. The goodbyes are actually really nice to read. Pink Floyd 26 wrote, "No matter what happens today, one thing is for sure, I'm really going to miss you all, these match threads. Thanks, everybody was making each match so much fun. Let's do it one last time." Jazz-like tradition 43D6 was already experiencing withdrawal and looking for the next sports fix, saying, Women's World Cup next year? Also, Commonwealth Games start on Thursday, but you might not be interested in that.
The sudden void left when a month-long daily ritual ends is palpable.
J886 captured that melancholy perfectly, saying, the bittersweet feeling that it's the last game of the tournament is kicking in. Zai was just hyping up the final moments, asking, who wants to see Spain win? Never Lost 100 reflected on the community, writing, this subreddit made watching the World Cup at home more fun. Gonna miss it.
It's a real community.
And Dark Software admitted that while they love the community, the game itself wasn't exactly a classic, stating, this is the World Cup final. You'll never see highlights back a couple of years after.
Which is a very fair assessment of the 120 minutes of football. But pulling back from the chaotic noise of the internet, we have to look at the historical, macro-level reality of what the Spanish national team just accomplished. This isn't just a gritty tournament win. It is a monumental achievement in football history.
Let's frame the magnitude of this for everyone. Spain just became the first team in history to feature in a World Cup final as the reigning European champion in this specific modern context, sealing their status as two-time World Cup winners.
Right.
This echoes the legendary run of their 2010 Golden Generation, which also won back-to-back major tournaments.
If we connect this achievement to the bigger picture of how the sport is evolving, it completely validates their entire national footballing philosophy from the grassroots level up. We talked about Lamine Yamal and Pau Cubarsí earlier. Spain has perfected the methodology of blending unparalleled youth development from academies like Barcelona's La Masia with incredibly experienced world-class tactical anchors like Rodri.
It's the perfect mixture of youthful fearlessness and veteran composure.
Exactly. It proves that methodology and system, a deep, unwavering commitment to high possession, highly structured football across all age groups, is the ultimate winning formula on the international stage.
It's undeniable now.
They didn't rely on a single superstar to drag them across the finish line when things got tough. Every single player, from the 19-year-old center back to the substitute winger who scored the winning goal, was a functioning cog in a perfectly calibrated machine.
And despite the frustration during the match, once the final whistle blew, the fans were overwhelmingly there to validate that philosophy. They were celebrating the triumph of the system over the triumph of the cynical individual. OK Gain 1151 said it best, simply, Viva España.
Beautiful.
Taco-flavored Pringles called their style of play beautiful football. King Quintoman pointed out the massive narrative shift in the comments, observing, funny how one side starts piling on a comment that says football is lost, but the other doesn't on a comment that says football has won.
The relief that the team playing proactive football was ultimately rewarded was widespread.
Ladrón Rebollo 4 defended the Spanish victory against any detractor, stating, because it is an absurd take considering how Argentina just played, Winding Sand had the ultimate bragging rights, having predicted a dominant scoreline early with 3 to win, even if the actual score was tighter.
They called it in spirit.
Poopmaster 747 brought back the meme of the tournament, joking. Now Lamine Yamal gets a chance to bathe Messi.
The circle of life is complete.
Godless and Chill sarcastically waved goodbye to the conspiracy theorists in the Argentina camp, saying, hope that rigging will help. Wilbian simply summarized the Spanish defensive performance in one word, saying intimidation.
Accurate.
Red Strup gave a classic British pub sign-off, just saying, cheers, Ellen. Don Kurt appreciated the return to historical tactical norms, noting, football is back to its normality. 1 goal at extra time or penalty shootouts.
Historically, finals are rarely high-scoring affairs. The pressure is simply too immense, and the defensive structures are too solid.
And fans from neutral nations were just happy to see the tension break. Superb Chemistry 2242 quoted the famous musical, singing, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. Naps, a Spanish fan, was in absolute disbelief at the history being made, typing, our second one, I can't believe it.
So much joy.
Zelja offered a simple, polite, congrats. Only My Couch Pulls Out summarized the moral arc of the match, writing, good guys won. Shoplift expressed gratitude, thank you, Spain. Personal Neck 549 dropped a historical stat to emphasize the difficulty of the achievement, noting no team has won this title twice in a row.
And that triumph of style over cynicism can actually change a fan's entire perspective on a nation.
It really can. Captain John 1995 shared a fantastic personal shift in perspective, writing, German guy here. I used to have a hater boner for Spain for beating us in 2010. But honestly, I just love how clean and smart they play. I am now a big Spain fan.
Winning converts through the purity of your tactical execution.
Very concerned human noted the vast class difference in how the two teams handled themselves, writing, I bet you won't see the Spaniards spitting and burning the Argentina flag. Icy Boot 4305 cheered, well-deserved Spain. Sedegolv noted the contrast between individual awards and team success, observing Mbappe winning Golden Boot and Spain winning the Cup.
The Golden Boot being the award for the top goal scorer in the tournament, of course. It again highlights the team over individual philosophy.
Essington69 went full video game mode to celebrate the tactical victory, typing, Counter-terrorists win. Celeb Addict 99 listed the incredible gauntlet of heavyweights Spain had to defeat to lift the trophy, saying, Spain went through Portugal, Belgium, France, and Argentina, rightful winners.
That is a brutal path.
But El Papa kept it philosophical. Football won today. Recommendation Low 649 called Argentina's defensive performance out, labeling them absolute cowards. Slobodan Milosevic summarized the statistical anomaly perfectly, writing, an ass-kicking in every way but the score. This Spanish team is an all-timer. LVL1 Mimikyu shouted their joy and their political grievance simultaneously, let's fucking go. Fuck you, Infantino. And Jordi TK gave the ultimate wholesome Reddit sign-off, just saying, everyone liked that.
But of course, because we were talking about a live digital ecosystem, amidst all the historic celebration and philosophical vindication, there are always the fans desperately looking for a glitch in the matrix or trying to cope with the final result.
Exactly. The sheer volume of traffic was literally breaking the infrastructure of the website. Ivy Gold, who is a subreddit moderator, had to step in with an administrative warning saying, hi folks, this thread is glitching up, so please migrate to another thread.
The servers were melting.
There was even a removed comment by the mysterious user deleted, which just proves the absolute unbridled chaos was real and required active moderation.
Yeah.
Even the architecture of the internet struggles to contain the emotional weight of a World Cup final.
H989 mocked a specific Argentine player's pre-match superstitions, writing, the wall kisser did fuck all. Future Strawberry 73 remained polite and gracious. Congrats, Spain. Totally deserved. Enjoy. Mathematician 3942 is still deeply confused by how Argentina's tactical approach had been successful in the past, asking, how did Argentina win into back-to-back finals? Even in 2022, they didn't look like a great side.
The confusion was real.
Mark Slayton declared historical dominance. Spain owns Argentina once more. The Daviers posted a link with a classic piece of British commentary syntax. Delighted with that one, Clive.
The cope from the losing side takes many forms.
VMBuff Q joked that the team played so poorly they couldn't even be saved by the conspiracy theories, writing, Argentina too shit today to utilize the mild to moderate fixing FIFA can do live in a game. No Anna 1522 was busy monitoring the emotional fallout in rival subreddits, reporting, Cristiano Ronaldo too coping and melting down.
The drama never ends.
Edevan Evi12334 congratulated Spain but still felt bad for the aging superstar, linking to an obligatory sad video edit of Messi. And finally, Montrevu summed up the feelings of many exhausted American fans who had had enough of the global drama and just wanted their local sports back, writing, thank God college football comes back in like a month.
That array of reactions is the absolute perfect distillation of global sports fandom. It is messy, it is contradictory, it is highly emotional, and it is endlessly entertaining.
It really is.
But when the digital dust finally settles and the servers cool down, the history books will record the undeniable facts. A grueling, highly physical match where Spain's beautiful, relentless, highly structured press ultimately broke down Argentina's cynical dark arts and their desperate defensive wall in the 106th minute.
And if you are listening to this right now, this deep dive matters to you, even if you never intend to kick a soccer ball in your life.
Absolutely.
Whether you are managing a complex team in a corporate office, organizing a grassroots community project, or coaching a local youth squad, this specific game serves as a profound masterclass in systemic resilience. It proves that sticking to a well-oiled, highly cooperative system like Spain's passing and counter-pressing can ultimately outlast and defeat a reactive strategy that relies purely on disruption and the fading, isolated brilliance of a single individual.
It is the ultimate victory of the collective over the individual, which leaves us with a truly critical, paradigm-shifting question to mull over as we close the book on the 2026 tournament.
Okay, let's hear it.
With Spain winning back-to-back major tournaments, utilizing a philosophy of high possession, highly structured, deeply cooperative football, and Argentina failing to register a single shot while relying entirely on aggressive disruption and the hope of a superstar, Are we currently witnessing the final death knell of the superstar carry era in international sports? Will the 2030 World Cup be a tournament entirely dominated by flawless, interchangeable systems rather than the singular magic of individual heroes?